Okay, let's take a look at problem 3 now, dividing polynomials with a zero coefficient. So the width W of a rectangle is 3z minus 1. The area A of a rectangle is 18z to the third minus z squared plus 2. What is the expression for the length of the rectangle? So if you remember a rectangle, the area is the length and the width. Well, if I know one of these, all I have to do is divide. If I know my area, I divide either my length or my width to find out the other one. So we're going to divide. So I have 3z minus 1 divided by, the thing about dividing polynomials is that I have to make sure I have all terms. So here I don't have a z squared term, so I have to make sure I put it when I divide it, because that place value still needs to be filled. So now the first question I'm asking myself, what do I need to multiply 3z by to get 18z squared? Well, that would be 6z squared. So you see why I needed that z squared now, because I wouldn't have been able to put my z squared over anything. So when I multiply that, I get 18z to the third minus 6z squared. So again, I go through and I subtract. My signs change. First terms cross out. Just bring down this 6z squared minus 8z. What can I multiply 3z by to get 6z squared? That would be plus 2z. So that gives me 6z squared minus 2z. So subtract. Those cross out. I'm left with negative 6z. Bring down my plus 2. And now the last one, I'm going to multiply by negative 2. Yes. So negative 6z and plus 2. And I can already see that I'm going to get 0 if I change my signs. Everything crosses out, so there's no remainder. So let's see, what was this length or width that I was looking for? Can't remember offhand. What is the length? So my length is 6z squared plus 2z minus 2. And let's see if that's what they got. 6z squared plus 2z minus 2. Yep. So let's do the got it now. We have q minus 1 divided by q to the fourth. Don't have a q to the third, so I'm going to put that there to hold that place. Plus q squared plus q minus 3. Alright, so I'm going to have to multiply the first term by q to the third power. So I get q to the fourth minus q to the third. I'm going to go through and subtract now. And I get q to the third plus q squared. So let me make sure I did that right. So q times q to the third gives me 2 to the fourth, and q times 1 gives me minus q to the third. I bring down, I subtract, and that turns to a positive q, so I get positive q to the third plus q squared. Now I'm going to have plus q squared, so I get q to the third minus q squared. Again, I subtract, and I get 2q squared plus q, and I get plus 2q q here. I've run out of space. I hate that. But I will go on. So I have 2q, which is going to give me 2q squared, and minus 2q. Subtract them. And those cancel out like I want them to. I'm going to have to come over here and I get 3q minus 3. And so I'm going to have to multiply this by 3. 3 times q is 3q, and minus 3. Everything cancels out in the remainder. So here's my final answer. Let's do the next one. Okay, I went ahead and wrote it on the whiteboard to save some time. So I had h to the third. I was missing that h squared, so I put it here, 0h squared minus 4h plus 12. Okay, so the first thing, what do I need to multiply h by to get h to the third? And that is h squared. H squared gives me times h, gives me h to the third. And I get plus 3h squared. Subtract. First terms cancel out. I'm left with negative 3h squared minus 4h. Now I'm going to multiply this by negative 3h to give me negative 3h squared. So negative 3h times h is negative 3h squared. Negative 3 times 3 times 3 gives me negative 9h. I'm going to change my signs because I'm subtracting. That goes away. I'm left with 5h plus 12. I'm going to multiply this by 5. 5 times h is 5h. 5 times 3 is 15. I'm going to subtract. I get negative 3. So my remainder is negative 3. So I get h squared minus 3h plus 5 minus 3 over h plus 3. I hope this helps.